First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Ryan Nobles is from NBC, and he's on the line right now. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Bill. Have we talked about Cavallo's closing? Because I'm very sad about that.
We have not,
I haven't.
I'd love you to talk about that. It is very sad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think there's a place in central New York that played a bigger role in my young adulthood than Cavallo's. That place was, I mean, I lived in New Hartford. That was like our regular go-to place with the KTV crew after the 11 o'clock news, on Phase after Sports Express. You know, I've got so many memories there. And when I saw it on your website, actually, that it was closing. And it started multiple texts among multiple people that are displaced from the Utica area, that work at WKTV, that worked in government and politics, who are spread out around the country, who are all just sad to see it go. So it's the end of an era there in New Hartford.
It's where Ryan smoked all his cigars at the cigar bar.
Right. You know, I got to say that was. Yeah, I'm not sure how true. This is all anecdotal, people saying that, but the what they said is that was the highest grossing restaurant in all of the Utica-Mohawk Valley for years and years and years. And then a new place opened up down the street called One Jenny, and it became a huge competition just out of nowhere. All of a sudden, the crowds went to another place, and I'm not sure they could do anything to stop that. And is it official now? Who bought it?
Yet.
Not yet. Okay.
The 28th.
I don't say anything yet, but I'm just saying.
I was cornered at an event recently. So
there's a little irony in there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, there was a period of time where they had all four corners of the real restaurant market covered, right?
Yes.
You had the family rest in the back, you had the bar pub in the front, you had the party deck,
banquets and stuff.
Way back.
Yeah.
And then when the smoking ban came into effect, they found a way around it with the cigar bar. I mean, they just nailed it every single time. And listen, I'm from Buffalo, as you know. I have a very high opinion and very picky about my wings.
Yeah,
and Cavallo's wings are as any wings in the country. And so,
I agree.
Yeah.
So can I tell you a little radio story about Cavallo's that I will never forget? When I was, and this goes way back to 1992, when I was fired from Rock 107, it was all a controversial thing where I was fired with the word condom. The battle was over. Don't say condom. And I said, well, I'm going to say condom. And it became this battle. I got a notice of 80 words I couldn't say or phrases I couldn't say on the radio. It included condom. It included, oh, my God. All of these things that added.
They were beyond the 7 words.
It added 7 words you can't say on the radio, nonetheless. Mm-hmm. So I go in, and it's a Tuesday or whatever. The manager general manager called me in, and JR, who was my program director, is like, just be really, don't get excited. I'm like, I'm not going to get excited, but I'm not going to follow this list. So we sat down, and he said, so you're not going to say any of the words. I said, that's not true. Condom is a word we're going to say when it comes up. and he said, well, then you're going to have to quit. And I said, I'm not quitting. And he said, well, you're going to have to quit because I'm not going to allow you to come back on the radio. I said, well, that wouldn't be me quitting, would it?
That's a firing.
And he said, okay, you're fired. And JR, I felt so bad because he's trying to keep everybody together. And then, the whole story, ended up going to K-Rock thereafter. But that very night, they all got together, and without the general manager knowing, we went in and signed the radio station for my going away party. And we went to Cavallo's. And it was like, I don't know, $700 by the time we were buying everybody drinks. $700, $800 by the time it was over. And we signed John Enoch's name, the general manager. Boom. It was that's one of the great Cavallo's nights that I remember. So
I think we all have a lot of really great nights there.
We do, yes. I'm sure there are a lot of them. Everybody's got a story, right? So, all right. I do want to ask you, though, if NBC sells, this confuses me, and I'm imagining you guys are wondering as well, and I don't want to drag you in something you can't talk about, so I trust you. You'll only say what you can say. but they were to sell CNBC and MSNBC, would they come up with like an LMA, an agreement where staff from BC still goes on MSNBC, or does MSNBC have to come up with all of its own people?
So I don't know all the answers to these questions. Many of us are just as confused by.
You're probably wondering too.
Happening.
Yeah.
But we got an email from our big boss this morning, and there was a line in there that basically said that we're going to continue to share resources between the two different groups.
Oh, okay.
So I think, I mean, the way I do this, and I'm not a financial expert, but I think it's more just a way to give shareholders the option of whether or not they want to invest in cable going forward would be the way I'd do it. So they're basically severing or cleaving, I guess they're calling it, the two different content groups. Yeah, the two different content groups, so that if you're a stockholder, you have the ability to say, well, this is where I want my money to go versus this is where I want my money to go versus, as opposed to right now, if you invest in Comcast NBC Universal, you're investing in everything. That's my very base level understanding of it. So my perception of it all is, and we've been told just to continue to operate as normal. It's going to take a year-long process.
Sure.
I don't exactly know
Wow.
what the ins and outs are about it, but I know that I'm an NBC News employee.
Oh, okay.
So I continue under the Comcast banner under any circumstance. But I mean, it's just it's an example of kind of the changing dynamic of the industry. And, we all have to adapt and grow. And kind of meet the audience where they are. And I think that this is an effort to try and consolidate that. I went through a similar thing when I was at CNN because AT&T basically spun off all the Warner Media properties, and that became what is now the Warner Brothers company. I don't know what they call it now. But so this is, I've been, Bill, you talk about all the different times you've been fired. I've been through many ownership changes over the course of my career. I think when I worked in local TV, the TV stations I worked for got sold 4 or 5 different times.
Yeah, I remember that.
When I was just at CNN, I think the company got bought or consolidated or spun off 4 times just in the 8 years I was there.
Wow.
And my experience is from the level that I'm at, which is basically just making the donuts. We just keep making the donuts and let the big bosses make the financial decisions.
It's going to be interesting to see how this is done, but there should be a clear line that I think we all got to think about moving forward, but from news and journalism to cable opinion, editorialism, because I think that line gets blurred a lot lot
I think that is hard for the average viewer to understand sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that I can only control myself in that vein, and my the perception that I want viewers to have of me is somebody that is giving the news to them straight, whether they want to hear that information or not. I'm going to give the facts as I know them, and what my own independent reporting has told me. So that's kind of my guiding light, and that's where I'm going to just keep going.
Got it. All right. Well, I hate to do this, Ryan, but after all of that, we're out of time. But I'm glad we got a chance to talk about Cavallos.
Yes, me too. And good luck to that family and everybody going forward. And maybe I got to check out this one Jenny place next time in town. Maybe you can get the WIBX general manager's credit card.
Listen, Ryan. I sign names everywhere. I'm all over the place. Yeah, and I've gotten pretty good at it. I just want to tell you. A little scribble here, a little scribble there. It's like, that's authentic. All right, gotta go, Ryan. You have a great weekend. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bill. Bye.
Thank you much.